I grew up in a place where they told you what to chase, told you how to run the race. Every move was on the page, but I didn't like their way. Had to fight and misbehave, had to find a way to change, had to leave to find my way.
Today we discuss the evolution of Haiti. The Haitian Revolution of 1791 was the largest slave uprising since the revolt of slaves against the Roman Republic nearly 2 centuries before. It began on August 21, 1791, and after many years of bitter bloody wars, this Haitian Revolution ended in 1804 and the colony declared its independence from France. Today the Haitian people continue to suffer everything from gang violence and political strife to natural disasters and poverty. But now, where is the spirit of revolution that created the nation of Haiti in the first place? What has become of the revolution? Is Haiti doomed to remain in turmoil forever? Hi there and welcome once again to the Aaron Darcy Project. I am your host, Ryan. Join me as we travel back in time and take a look at some of the events that have shaped the history of Guyana and of our Caribbean islands. The Haitian Revolution of 1791 saw people of black, biracial, French, Spanish, British and Polish backgrounds fight against each other. These clashes were bloody and brutal but eventually led to freedom for the oppressed people of Haiti. Descendants of all these races still exist in this country that has been torn apart by earthquakes and political turmoil, poverty and gang violence. History shows the Haitian Revolution as the only one that ever led to the creation of a new nation. The island of Saint-Domingue was discovered by Christopher Columbus on his first voyage to the Caribbean in 1492, and so became a Spanish possession. But after this, many years of wars and conflicts between the French and Spanish empires led to the western part of the island being ceded to France in 1697. The other part is now called the Dominican Republic. This western part of Saint-Domingue then became known as Saint-Domingue, and today we know it as Haiti. Haiti subsequently became the most profitable of all the French colonies in the world. By the late 1700s, Haiti was producing 40% of the sugar imported by France and Britain and 60% of the world's coffee. Almost 50 ships departed Haiti's ports each month to take goods to Europe. Records from 1789 show that Haiti, along with the British colony of Jamaica, used to be the main source of sugar to the entire world. Haiti was also regarded as the wealthiest and most prosperous European colony in the Caribbean. To produce the sugar and other crops required extensive manual labor, and this was supplied by the importation of African slaves into Haiti. These slaves, along with some free blacks, would eventually engage in a years-long war against their colonial rulers and gain their freedom and independence from France. The total slave population in all the colonies of the Caribbean at that time was about 1 million, of which almost half were in Haiti. Haiti's population then consisted of 40,000 whites, 28,000 mulattoes and free blacks and 452,000 black slaves. Records and inventories of slaves and other property were meticulously maintained. The slaves vastly outnumbered the whites and free colored people, and this was noted with some trepidation by the whites. From among the 40,000 white colonists in Saint-Domingue, most administrative jobs were given to those that were born in France. The sugar planters themselves were minor aristocrats, most of whom returned home to France as soon as possible in order to avoid the dreaded tropical fevers that were common in the colonies. Those considered lower-class whites were the artisans, shopkeepers, slave dealers, overseers, and day workers. The free people of color, who numbered more than 28,000, caused some concern among the elite of society because of their numbers. And so, laws were passed that required these people to wear distinctive clothing and only permitted them to live in specifically designated areas. They were also barred from occupying many public offices. Many of these free slaves and mulattoes were artisans and overseers, or domestic servants in the plantation houses. But many of these free people of color, including freed slaves, would soon become important leaders in the slave rebellion and later revolution. The Haitian Revolution began on the night of August 21, 1791, as a tropical storm raged across the island of Saint-Domingue. The sounds of thunder ripped through the night, and flashing bolts of lightning seared the skies as thousands of slaves attended a voodoo ceremony at a place called Bois Caiman. Emboldened and drunk with the voodoo spirits, the slaves rose up and began to slaughter their white masters in a revolt that would forever rage through the pages of history. But this was no spontaneous rebellion. The leaders of the slaves, High Priest Dutty Boukman and Cecile Fatiman, had used the ceremony to launch a well-planned revolt. Decades of suffering at the hands of their masters had fermented and created a terrible hatred for the whites in the minds and hearts of the slaves. Their masters and mistresses were now dragged from their beds and slaughtered, and their heads placed on poles that were carried by the rebels as they moved from one plantation to another. Within 10 days, slaves had taken control of the entire northern province in an unprecedented slave revolt. The plantation owners had long feared such a revolt and had made some defensive preparations, but within weeks, the number of slaves who joined the revolt had reached a staggering 100,000. Within the next 2 months, the violence escalated. 4,000 whites were killed and hundreds of sugar, coffee, and indigo plantations burned or destroyed. Only a few isolated and fortified camps remained under the control of colonial masters. In September 1791, the whites organized into militias and struck back, killing about 15,000 of the rebels. The rebellion continued throughout September, and in the south, a large army of more than 13,000 slaves and rebels looted and burned plantations, freed their brethren, and occupied the area's 2 major cities. By 1792, slave rebels controlled a third of Saint-Domingue, and the success of the rebellion caused the National Assembly of France to realize they were facing an ominous situation. The battles raged on for years, and while the rebel leaders were demanding freedom from slavery, they were not demanding independence from France at this point. France finally decided to make some changes, and so, civil and political rights were given to free men of color in March 1792. Strange enough, many of the rebel leaders actually claimed to be fighting for the King of France, who they believed had issued a decree freeing the slaves, but felt that the colonial governor was denying them this freedom. As such, they were demanding their rights as free Frenchmen. Apart from granting rights to free people of color, the French Assembly then dispatched 6,000 French soldiers to the colony of Saint-Domingue, and a new civil commissioner was sent from Paris. The new commissioner swiftly abolished slavery in the northern province, but this created hostile relations with the planters. In 1793, France declared war on Great Britain, and the white plantation owners in Saint-Domingue, unhappy with the new French commissioner, arranged with Britain to take over the colony, believing that the English would maintain slavery. The British, of course, saw this as a great opportunity to seize what was then the most profitable French colony in the Caribbean. Haiti was a prime target not only for the British, but the Spanish, and so it did not take much for these 2 great powers to get involved with the rebels and take control of this rich colony. British troops were sent to Saint-Domingue, but this proved to be a costly disaster. The untrained British troops soon suffered from ravaging disease, which led to a very unsuccessful campaign. Spain, which controlled the rest of the island of Hispaniola, Santo Domingo, now entered the conflict. Spanish forces invaded Saint-Domingue to fight the French and were joined by the rebels. For most of the conflict, the Spanish supplied the rebels with food, ammunition, arms, medicine, naval support, and military advisors. But the French, not to be outplayed and in order to maintain the colony for France, now offered freedom to the slaves. On the 29th of August, 1793, abolition of slavery was announced. The National Convention abolished slavery by law in France and all its colonies, and granted civil and political rights to all black men in the colonies. The French constitutions of 1793 and 1795 both included the abolition of slavery. But this would be just the beginning of the story of Haiti. Join us again when we will take a further look at the Haitian Revolution on the Aaron Darcy Project. Goodbye for now.
I grew up in a place where they told you what to chase, told you how to run the race. Every move was on the page, but I didn't like their way. Had to fight and misbehave, had to find a way to change, had to leave to find my way. Caught up in a daydream, I beat my mind up there almost daily. It's how I pass time, no opinion.